The Shannon School of Business Small Business Development Center is pleased to present Entrepreneurs in Action, a series of short videos designed to help business owners better understand some of the issues with which they may struggle. Developed by the business professors of Cape Breton University and featuring successful entrepreneurs, these videos provide viewers with the ability to ask the right questions of themselves and others to get the answers they need in order to succeed.
Hi, my name is Mary Beth Doucette, and I'm an industrial engineer working with Member 2 First Nation. As an industrial engineer, I really understand the need for processes to fit together. So that's why process management is so important, and operations management is so important for the study of business.
Starting a new business can be a real gamble. You have to be responsible for product, service, cost, revenue, location, marketing, even cleaning. And unless your business is a lemonade stand, you're going to need help. Lots of help. Of course, you can hire other people to take care of many of these things, but it'll remain your job to get all the people you hire going in the same direction, working as a team, reading from the same prayer book, so to speak. And the title of that book is Operations Management. Let's take a look at a list of business concerns common to every industry: production, customer service and sales, cleaning and maintenance, administration, marketing. Now let's pick a typical small business operation to further illustrate our discussion. Off the top of my head, how about a restaurant? So, we add food and beverage to production, and underneath this column, we add purchasing, receiving, preparation, plating, and disposal. Under customer service, we add greeting, seating, taking orders, serving, ringing in bills. Under cleaning and maintenance, we add dining room, kitchen, bussing, dishwashing, and exterior. Under administration, paying staff, scheduling, licensing, health and safety, accounting. Under marketing, advertising, signage, and menus. Now, let's assume you hire at least one person to handle each of these categories: a chef, hostess, janitor, office manager, and graphic designer. Some of these positions will probably be on a contract rather than staff basis. Collectively, these people are your support team, or in MBA speak, your subject matter experts, or SMEs. They will be expected to know everything there is to know about some aspect of your business. And now, as the garlic clove said to the roast beef, here's the rub. What happens if the chef calls in with food poisoning? Or the office manager has an emergency at home? Or the janitor has a foot stuck in a bucket on the other side of town? Someone has to step up and save the day. If the operations manager, that's you, has done some proper planning and documentation in advance, the chef's recipes will be easily found and easily read. All staff members will understand basic service and billing techniques. The owner-manager will understand the fundamentals of accounting procedures, and he or she will find a spare mop and bucket in the employee bathroom. Let's examine good operations management in a bit more detail. The types of documentation that may help deal with the situations we've looked at: policies, procedures, work instructions, checklists, and databases. Policies are made to clearly inform employees, customers, and partners of the management's vision and what is expected of them at all times. Procedures are specific ways of doing things and outline how a job or process begins, unfolds, and concludes. Work instructions are easily read, step-by-step poster guides that may include pictures or graphics. Checklists are useful for activities that you want to document as they are completed, like shipping and receiving goods, counting inventory, or cleaning the washrooms. And databases are used to record and store information and provide feedback for analyzing many different activities. To appreciate how important cross-training and information sharing is to any small or large business, let's meet Kirk McRae, owner of several Subway restaurants in Nova Scotia. Welcome, Kirk. When you plan your operations management, what do you see as the critical functions?
I think in my business and where I have a number of various outlets, I think the key for me is I need a manager or a team builder. This individual has to have the role of building a team around them that they can perform. And it's just like managing our local hockey team. Some kids need a kick in the butt, some kids need their shoulders rubbed, but everybody's a little different. But ultimately, it's about respect, leading by example, and having the critical people in those roles. Because in Subway, it's a people's business, from customer service to out back, people got to get along, and it's ultimately important. The most critical issue I have in my management are the HR skills a person brings to the table.
What sort of training is provided for employees so they can react quickly during a crisis?
I think if there's one rule, it's not to overreact. I think as we've all been told, God gave us one mouth and two ears, and we all tend to talk a little bit too much. So I think it's critical initially to have the processes, but to have the communication come so you know exactly what you're dealing with. You know, the first hour or two, you maybe have total misinformation maybe out there. So it's important before you speak that you know what you're speaking and that you have the correct communication that you have to bring out.
Who gets involved?
I think in any business or anything we do in life, you have to have steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have to develop a process, which we've done. Again, it comes back to communication. So let's use the example of Maple Leaf Foods a year and a half ago. When you're in the sandwich business and there's a situation in the health of a particular brand of food, and it gets out there that salami is unhealthy, and you have a Subway store, how do you communicate that to your customers? Starts internally, we get the information, we aren't involved in this, we like to put stuff out in the counter, we train our managers, they go through a good 1 hour session up the line, and we just bring it to the store level, to the kids at that level. So it's important to have the processes, and it's also important to, like a fire drill in school, to track, to say what happens if, and to do it. And the other critical thing which I found is after the crisis settled down, a month later, it's important to go back and look at how you handled the crisis and can you do a better job of it, where you were strong and where you were weak, and maybe you can change the processes for the next time.
Thanks, Kirk, for sharing your insights and experiences with us. Now, while the whole area of operations management is obviously complex, it doesn't have to be difficult. The first thing you want to do for your business is create a basic flowchart. Start with the product or service you plan to sell. We'll stick with the restaurant example. All your operations are going to be related to creating and selling meals. Directly under your product, make a list of the things that make it special: size, shape, location, decor, menu. Be sure to include things that make your restaurant different from others. Now create an arrow to the left of the product list and another arrow to the right. These arrows represent the flow of operations. The left arrow represents the inputs. Some typical inputs may include inventory, raw materials, labor, equipment, training, information, partners, suppliers. This may not be a complete list. In fact, you will be adding to it as your flowchart and procedures develop. The right arrow represents outputs. These are all the things created as your processes are completed. Not just products and services, but also intangible things like information, client relationships, and reputation. What we have here is a basic process flowchart unique to your business. Starting from this point, you can brainstorm the inputs and outputs with others in your circle of partners and employees to add other processes to your flow chart. Next, we're going to illustrate the activities that connect the various phases of the production process. Does your operation management begin when a customer places an order? If so, then you're using a pull system because the order is pulling everything through the system, and the client will have to wait until it is made. If you have the product on hand, this is a push system. Many operations will use a combination of both systems because they hold inventory, but won't fully complete the process until the customer decides what to order. Bread takes a long time to make, so it will be prepared in advance, but the rest of the meal can be created after the customer places an order. So which are your first input products? The items you have to purchase before you can start working on anything else. You can call these initial state inputs, and they include space, manpower, and raw materials. Let's use raw materials as an example. 1. Sliced bread. 2. Sliced veggies. 3. Place on bread. You can continue this process by adding coffee and desserts, and each product will have its own processes until they combine in an order from the customer. This new document with arrows coming and going in and out of various activities should identify the distinct processes within your operation and break them down into their basic elements. Once you're comfortable with the concept of breaking down the operation of your business on a flowchart, you may want to examine how much time each separate process requires, the locations of certain ingredients or parts, and where inspections will take place. With all these things to track, measure, and record, it is a wonder that anything ever gets made at all. Is it really necessary to measure everything? No. But consider this. Materials and labor make up the majority of the costs of doing business, and therefore you need to keep a close watch on them. Measuring this information is called a metric. Early on, it is critical to determine what is normal in your industry to charge for a product in order to make a profit. Everyone has heard the old adage, time is money, and as a business owner, your most common metrics will involve one or the other. This chart shows some of the most common metrics used to evaluate industry success in the areas of service, production, and finance. In the restaurant industry, labor and food costs, especially perishable items, are typically monitored very closely, even daily. For an expert assessment of the value of metrics, let's drop in again on Kirk McRae. Hello again, Kirk. What operational methods figure into achieving product consistency?
Well, some metrics that we like to use, and we have goals, obviously. I don't think you can sit down with senior people and give them a broad out view of things to do. You need specific goals that are obtainable. I also don't believe in having 15 goals. I think it's best to have 3, reach them, set out 3 more, and move from there. So we use matrices as productivity, labor costs, food costs, fixed costs. Those are the 3 things. The labor and food are the 2 metrics that we can use. Fixed costs are fixed, nothing we can do whether we have no business or a lot of business, but we've got to continually monitor our labor and our food costs.
Kirk, what advice would you pass on to a new entrepreneur?
I think passion. I mean, we all know there's lots of ideas out there, and unfortunately, not all these ideas transpire into a business. It's nice to have a mentor and someone you can go and bang this idea off of, someone that you respect, not just respect, but somebody you respect their opinion, because sometimes when you're told that they don't think it's going to work, you should take that advice. But I really think if you have to be dedicated, you have to work at it every day, and it never ends. I mean, you wake up at 3 a.m. with things, but you have to be passionate. And listen, entrepreneurship is the greatest way to go. It gives you a little bit of personal freedom. It makes you really feel you're making a contribution to your community, and it's ultimately about building our own communities for our own kids, or for ourselves. So you need passion. If you think that by opening a business that you can walk away from it, it never happens. You've got to manage it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Once again, thank you, Kirk, for sharing your wealth of experience and knowledge with us. Hopefully you are starting to think about the huge volume of information that managing and controlling your business will bring you. So don't overlook one of the best sources of information on your business: feedback from your clients and customers. Ultimately, they are the only reason for your company to exist. In a restaurant, you can speak directly to customers, but in many businesses, the only source will be surveys, opinion polls, and focus groups. Using that information to your best advantage is the job of quality assurance systems. These systems are intended to help manage information flows by providing a consistent approach. There are a variety of these systems, such as ISO 9000, Lean, JIT, and ERP. The basic premise of these systems is to create an organizational environment that responds effectively to feedback for continuous improvement. Operations management strategies will change over time, so the key is to be aware that even the smallest deviation in one department can have a significant change on another. Using your process flowchart, you should be able to track changes upstream and downstream from the change. As your operation grows, you should constantly think about the information available to you and ask, is this working? How can it be improved? Remember, you don't have to gamble. You just have to manage as efficiently and effectively as you can.